In today's climate, nothing will make you a more accurate or confident shooter than Crimson Trace laser sighting systems. Get the immediate, decisive advantage of the world's only grip-integrated laser sights today. Shoot better. Stay safer. Crimson Trace.
Broadcasting nationwide, this is Tom Gresham's Gun Talk. Your views, advice, and questions are the driving force of Gun Talk. Call Tom now at 866-TALK-GUN. That's 1-TOM-TALK-GUN. Or reach out to us via email at tom@guntalk.com. Let us know what you think about the gun-related issues of the day. Now, here's Tom Gresham.
All right, back with you. 866-TALK-GUN will get you in here. Also, you can shoot me an email, tom@guntalk.com. That works most of the time. If you're shy, bashful, don't want to be on the air, you can shoot me a note that way. We have been talking about, well, in fact, for 2 hours now, talking about this incredible court decision that actually was weirdly announced on yesterday, out of D.C. This was a long time coming, and joining us to talk about this is the founder of the Second Amendment Foundation, the group that brought this lawsuit, Alan Gottlieb. Hey, Alan, this is big news, isn't it?
Yeah, Tom, it's just really great. I'm on cloud 9, and quite honestly, this is going to be in the top 5 court decisions on gun rights, and it might be ending up being number 3, depending upon if D.C. appeal system goes on up the chain.
All right, back up and tell us what the case was, when was it filed, and what does it actually mean?
Well, this is really something. You know, Alan Gura, who won the Heller case and filed our McDonald case that we won, this was filed shortly thereafter, back in 2009. Challenging the ban on carry in Washington, D.C., after the D.C. rewrote their new law based upon the Heller decision. And we really ran into a roadblock. We hit a judge who is a Democrat appointee, very anti-gun, and wouldn't move the case at all, wouldn't hold hearings, wouldn't let us file motions, wouldn't respond to anything, to the point that it was dragging, and this U.S. Supreme Court, one of the things that Judge Roberts, as Chief Justice, does is monitors the flow of cases through the courts. So when courts have cases that haven't been heard in years and years, sometimes the Supreme Court gets involved, and they did in this case. And they pulled the judge off the case, and then randomly another judge was assigned to it. And this judge also dragged his feet. I mean, usually in a trial court level, you usually don't go 5 years before you get a decision. And what happened is that Alan Gura filed a writ of mandamus with the appeals court, wanting the court to order the judge to issue a ruling. Because if rule against us, we don't care. We're going to appeal it, but just issue a ruling.
Because you can't go anywhere. You can't do anything if you don't get a ruling.
Right, and so the appeals court basically denied our motion without prejudice, saying that, well, it's been a long time, but let's give the judge a little bit more time on this, and you can bring this motion back again. Well, we filed that last year, and then in May of this year, we filed another writ of mandamus with the appeals court, and before the appeals court got a chance to rule on it again, obviously the judge now issued the ruling. He was sort of a little bit hostile to us through the whole process, but he wrote a great opinion and ruled in our favor, which actually surprised us. And we thought we wouldn't get a victory till the appeals court level, and we got it at the trial court level, which hardly ever happens on gun rights.
Well, when you read it, you think, well, this guy has been in your corner all along, when we know that hasn't been the case. Do you think, and this is just me, I'm projecting here, I understand, but I'm thinking that he knew how he had to rule on this, because that is the law, and he had to come down to the side of gun rights. He just didn't want to.
Well, that was our opinion. But of course, the opinion he wrote is perfect for us. We couldn't ask for anything better. I mean, it's like we wrote it ourselves. So it's hard to say what kind of political pressure he was under, what other constraints may have been there, or maybe he was waiting to see if the Supreme Court would take one of our other cases first, so he wouldn't have to rule. I mean, who knows? But the bottom line is Saturday, which is, again, highly unusual for a federal court to issue a ruling on a Saturday. It hardly ever happens. It usually only happens like in an emergency case, not after 5 years. And so we got a stunning victory on Saturday, which surprised us all. We haven't even been able to put out our official news release on it yet, but it's all over the place. It's gone viral.
Yeah, I mean, everywhere you look on the news. So what does it mean? What does this decision actually say?
Well, basically, the important part about it says that the D.C. ban on carry fails under any level of scrutiny. You don't even need strict scrutiny. You don't need intermediate scrutiny. And under any level of scrutiny, it's unconstitutional. That is really fantastic for us. The second really important thing about it is that one of our plaintiffs, we set this case up, one of our plaintiffs doesn't live in D.C., and we set it up so that we wanted to also attack the fact that you might not issue permits to people who don't live in D.C., out-of-state permits, so to speak. And the judge ruled that also that's unconstitutional. You have to allow people out-of-state to carry in D.C. as well, which, of course, for me, opens up a whole other avenue of legal attacks for us now on states that don't allow out-of-state permits to people to apply for permits to begin with, and for that matter, on reciprocity. This probably is one giant first step towards national concealed carry.
Wow. I mean, now, make sure I'm on the right footing here. The Second Amendment Foundation brought this lawsuit. You worked with Gura. You selected the plaintiffs on this, and you funded it. Is that correct?
That is totally correct. And, of course, Alan Gura should get the lion's share of the credit for this. I mean, he's our rock star. He has won most of our major cases. I mean, Heller, McDonald, Ezel, Moore, Richards, Bateman, and now this one. So, he has won. What's really great was on this opinion when the judge wrote it, he had to quote all of our victories, and he had to quote all of our victories as reasons why he had to rule our way.
So he's quoting the cases that you and Alan Gura had brought when he's ruling on this case. And by the way, I don't know if I even told you that Alan's going to be on the show in about 15 minutes, so we'll get his take on this as well. Alan, can you hold on just a second here while we take a quick break?
I sure can.
Okay, we'll take a quick break. We're talking with Alan Gottlieb from the Second Amendment Foundation, the group that funded this. For more on that, you can go to saf.org, saf.org. Our number here, 866-TALK-GUN. This is a huge decision. As we say, it has implications far, far beyond D.C. It goes into every corner of the United States of America.
The Smith & Wesson Bodyguards. Carry more comfortably, walk more confidently. When it comes to personal protection, nothing beats a Bodyguard. Choose the lightweight, compact, and concealable Bodyguard 380 pistol or the Bodyguard 38 revolver, both with a built-in laser sight. The Smith & Wesson Bodyguards. Carry more comfortably, walk more confidently.
Looking for shooting instruction but don't know where to go? Well, we have it, and you can access hours of training and safety videos, which you can watch on your home computer. On GunTalkTV.com, we have top competitive shooters, the best in self-defense trainers, and folks who have hunted all over the world, helping you learn which gun to buy, how to use it, how to store it safely, and everything else you need to be a safe and competent shooter. We also have gun makers showing off their newest rifles, shotguns, and handguns. Doesn't matter if you're a veteran shooter or a complete beginner, you'll find what you need at GunTalkTV.com. You can check it out for free, and you can get full access for only $5.95 a month. That gives you unlimited access to hundreds of videos, and we're adding more all the time. Run the videos over and over to make sure you understand what's being said. Skip around. You're in control. Get smarter. Shoot better. Visit GunTalkTV.com.
Long-range shooting is challenging and fun, but most precision rifle bullets aren't right for hunting. Nosler's AccuBond LR long-range bullets are designed specifically for hunters. They combine the incredible on-game performance AccuBond bullets have delivered around the world with incredible long-range properties. High ballistic coefficients make for bullets which shoot flat and defy the winds. The sleekest, flattest shooting, bonded hunting bullet ever designed. Nosler's AccuBond LR. For more info, visit Nosler.com. In today's climate, you always need to be ready. Nothing will make you a more accurate or confident shooter than Crimson Trace laser sighting systems. Get the immediate, decisive advantage of the world's only grip-integrated laser sights. Shoot better. Stay safer. Call 800-442-2406 or visit crimsontrace.com for a free copy of our new laser training video, The Laser's Edge.
Want to have some more fun after today's radio broadcast of Gun Talk? Stick around for the after show with Tom, Jim, Michelle, and Michael. Now, more Gun Talk.
We're talking with Alan Gottlieb, the head of the Second Amendment Foundation, on this incredible decision in what's called the Palmer case in Washington, D.C. Now, Alan, one thing I want to make sure that people understand is that when the court said that D.C. cannot block out-of-state people from carrying in D.C., they don't necessarily mean reciprocity with other states. They're really talking about people from out of state can apply and get a permit in D.C. Is that correct?
Basically, I would agree with that statement. On the other hand, D.C. may choose to, go for reciprocity. There's no doubt that I think it aids our reciprocity arguments because if one state will not do reciprocity with another state, it may open up a whole new avenue of legal challenges for us. So it's something we have to take a look at. But it definitely, for national concealed carry, it's definitely one step in the right direction.
So as you look at this, and I know that this thing's been only 24 hours, and you really have not had a chance to fully digest it, how do you put this into perspective? What does it mean as you go forward? Because I know you always have a half a dozen or a dozen or more cases going, and particularly I do want to touch, before we get away from it, on what's going on in California, too.
Yeah. Well, I remember when Alan Gura won our case for us in McDonald versus Chicago, the anti-gun movement in this country said, well, that's a one-trick pony. You're never going to win another case after that. And obviously it's not been a one-trick pony, and the McDonald opened this up for all these other suits, not necessarily the Palmer case, because Palmer, D.C. not being a state, we didn't need incorporation for this case. It's one of the reasons why Alan Gura filed it early on for us. But there's no doubt that these decisions, each one builds on the other and opens more and more gateways and doorways for us to challenge more and more laws. So I'm really ecstatic because it means that we're going to get a lot of anti-gun laws off the books over time.
Fabulous. Now, this one is going to permeate throughout the whole U.S., and also I know you're working on cases in California that have that same potential. Where are we there?
Well, the big one in California, there's two of them. It's Peretta and Richards, which both were heard by the same appeals court and both ruled the same way. We're still waiting out of California to see if California is going to hear it in California, if the Ninth Circuit is going to hear it in banc or not, or even to let the state of California intervene on the Peretta case. They can't intervene on the Richards case because they were asked to be a party to begin with and chose not to, and so now they can't come into it. One of those cases is probably going to go up on appeals. Eventually the U.S. Supreme Court is my guess, because in Richards, the county sheriff there is definitely going to appeal it no matter what, and Peretta may not be able to go up because there may be nobody to appeal it on up. But anyway, that's something we're looking at as well. And of course, this case, the Palmer case, may get to the Supreme Court too if Washington, D.C. continues to appeal it. You can have Alan Gura on. He's going to be better telling you about giving you those answers than I am, quite honestly, so I don't want to steal his thunder if you're having him too. But there's a lot of those cases, and we have another very important case that just got filed a couple weeks ago for us in Texas, which challenges the interstate sale of handguns. We have a Texas licensed dealer who wanted to sell handguns to people who live in Washington, D.C., where there are no gun dealers having any inventory to buy a gun from. D.C. says it's okay, Texas says it's okay, but federal law says it's not okay. We're challenging that federal law in court as well. That's another Gura case coming up.
Well, of course, the whole idea of not being able to sell handguns to people in another state originated when they said, well, only the state is doing a background check. But now that we have a federal background check, it makes no sense at all. I mean, because it's the same background check no matter where you are.
Exactly. So it doesn't make any sense that you cannot argue there's any public safety reason to even do it. It's just a flat-out infringement on the Second Amendment. You can't even do an interest balancing test because there's no interest for the government at all.
All right, so Second Amendment Foundation, I love your phrase. What do you say? You're winning gun rights back?
No, winning firearms freedom one lawsuit at a time.
I love it. One lawsuit at a time. I mean, and people ask me, how do I put this into perspective with the NRA and the SAF? And this may not be fair, but this is just my impression. I said, look, if you want somebody to go into Congress or into legislature, your NRA is probably the A-team on that. But if you want somebody that's going to do litigation that's going to win massive cases, then SAF is your team, and that's where you want to be. And I know you guys cross over, but to me, you guys have just been kicking butt and taking names in courtrooms for the last decade.
Well, again, if you look at what Alan Gura and the Second Amendment Foundation have accomplished, Heller, McDonald, Moore, Ezell, Bateman, now Palmer, Richards in California, plus a slew of other ones. I mean, we've made all the case law that everybody has to use in all the decisions that come out. And it's really great. I'll tell you, if you had to have an attorney representing you in a civil rights case in court, you want nobody but Alan Gura. I mean, he is absolutely phenomenal. His briefs are amazing. His arguments are amazing. And that's why we're winning. And he's also trained a slew of other attorneys that work with him underneath us on all these cases. So we've got a whole cadre now of Second Amendment civil rights attorneys out there, all thanks to Alan.
It's not really overstating it to use the word genius, is it?
In his case, no. I mean, I've dealt with a lot of attorneys over the years and read a lot of briefs. And I mean, and not only that, but he keeps outdoing himself brief after brief. I mean, his writing, his legal writing skills, his coming up with the arguments and nuances, and helping to pick the right plaintiffs and the right jurisdictions and the right cases. It is sheer genius.
The other thing I like, and this is just me because I'm not a lawyer. Okay, I don't live in that world. I can actually understand his briefs. I can read an Alan Gura brief and understand exactly what he's saying, and I love that.
Isn't that amazing? I know. Not only that, but the flow of it, when it flows from one point to another, his transitions between points are so crystal clear, and it reads so well that his briefs are compelling. Judges have to read it and pay attention to it. It's amazing legal writing.
It is. So, all right, where's the landscape now? Where are we and where are we going?
Overall or just legally? What are we talking about?
Give me overall, because I know that there's a lot of stuff happening on state levels where we're getting assaulted like crazy.
Yeah, overall we're on the defensive. We're not on the offensive. And even in the courts, we've been set back a little bit after what happened in Newtown. I think judges didn't really want to rule on gun rights for a while here. So we're playing more defense than offense. That's why these cases, winning like the Palmer versus D.C. case, is so important to us, because it helps get us off the defense a little bit. But we're going to be playing defense when it comes to a lot of ballot measures in a lot of states. We're going to fight a really hard one in Washington State, where it's going to be hard for us to win. Similar initiative has been filed in Nevada, where it's going to be hard to win, and ones are being filed in Oregon and Arizona. We lose in 4 states. It gives the other side an awful lot of momentum when voters vote against us and vote against gun rights. I'm really kind of worried about what's going to happen with those in November. On the other hand, in November, I think we're going to pick up a lot of pro-gun people getting elected to office. So it's going to split two ways. What I'm seeing is the red states are getting more gun and the blue states are getting more anti-gun.
And there's some huge money, new money coming in on the anti-gun rights side, isn't there?
Millions and millions actually tens of millions of dollars. Yeah, there's no doubt about it. They put together a slew of very wealthy billionaire elitists led by Michael Bloomberg, pouring money in that dwarfs the whole gun rights movement budget completely. And that changes the dynamics of the game, and it means our people need to be even more engaged. Those $5 and $10 donations they send in mean a whole lot to us now, more than ever.
Well, that's it. I mean, when you've got people who can... Well, Bloomberg pledged $50 million of his own. Then he tapped into some of his billionaire buddies. And these guys can drop $10 million at a time on things. And when we talk about it dwarfs us, we're talking about dwarfing everybody, not just Second Amendment Foundation. We're talking about every group, including the NRA. Their money simply dwarfs all of our money put together.
Yeah, you have to realize for us to raise $10 million, it costs us money to raise the money and takes us a lot of time. It costs them no money to raise it and no time because the guy just writes one check.
And the only way to combat that is to raise more money.
Yeah, unfortunately now we talk about the arms race. The arms race is now becoming a race in dollars. We are being outspent for the first time ever in the gun rights battle.
And that's kind of a slow change that people may not see right now, but the impact is going to be felt in November, because I think you're right, particularly in Seattle, this ballot measure you have there is going to be a very difficult one. But let me connect the dots for people. Money buys advertising. Advertising changes public opinion. And if you have just a little bitty voice out there and they have a massive voice out there, the reality is that you're probably going to lose.
Yeah, unfortunately, he who frames the issue usually wins. Advertising frames the issue. And, as an example, in Washington State, it's called the Initiative 594, a background check initiative. But it's not just a background check initiative. As an example, if I wanted to lend, my best friend or my brother or my wife a gun, it could become, my wife would be okay, my brother would be okay, but I couldn't lend it to my best friend, or I couldn't lend a gun to my sister-in-law. It would be illegal. If you're out hunting with your hunting buddy, you can't hand him your shotgun. It goes far beyond background checks. And that's the problem, is they use background check, which they know people support overall, in public opinion polling, but they write into it all kinds of things that burn us, 6 ways from Sunday. And that's exactly what they're doing with this Initiative 594. And the one filed already in Nevada as well, and they're planning on doing a similar ones in Oregon and Arizona, targeting states that tend to be pro-gun, and if they can show that we can't hold and win in pro-gun states, boy, that really shifts the momentum to their side, and that's why Bloomberg is spending those $15 million this year.
It's why no matter what state you live in, you need to help out in Washington State and Nevada, because if they win those, that's where they say, see, we can win even in gun-friendly states, and now we're going to go take it to every other state. And the other thing is, of course, is they get the advertising, but they also have the media working on their side, so if they can control both, we simply can't get a message out. Alan, look, I want to congratulate you. This is huge. And then we'll follow up with Alan Gura coming up, but a big attaboy, and for all those who wonder why I keep promoting the Second Amendment Foundation, this is why. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Tom, and have fun with Alan Gura. I'm sure you will.
Will do. These are guys who know what they're doing. You don't win a whole string of major cases in federal court and at the Supreme Court level without being very, very good. The problem is, of course, it's very, very expensive to do this. When we come back, we'll be talking with the lead attorney, the guy who has won at the Supreme Court level, at the appeals court level, and then just won this major, major case in Washington, D.C. And he'll be able to explain to us kind of where we go from here. Next up, Alan Gura, superstar attorney.
Tom Gresham's Gun Talk is broadcast nationwide every Sunday. If you can't hear Gun Talk where you live, call your local talk format station and clue them in on Gun Talk. Stay tuned. We're coming right back. Now broadcasting nationwide on radio, via satellite, and through downloads, iTunes, the Gun Talk app, and other podcast clients. You're listening to Gun Talk with Tom Gresham.
Yes. I understand. Some people say, well, I just wish you wouldn't talk about politics all the time. I get it. We talk about the technical aspects of shooting. We talk about how to hit clay targets earlier today. And we talk about different guns. But sometimes you just got to talk about the politics, the legislation, the litigation. You got to talk about gun rights, especially when you have a big win. And we just had one yesterday, weirdly enough, on a Saturday. It's called the Palmer case. And joining us right now to talk about that is the lead attorney in the Palmer case, as well as a number of other landmark gun rights cases, Alan Gura. Hey, Alan, you must be one happy camper.
I am. Thanks, Tom. Thanks again for having me on the show.
Oh, absolutely. So give us kind of the background. I just had Alan Gottlieb on talking about this, but from your perspective, what was, first of all, unusual? I know the timeline on this got kind of weird.
Yes, it's not proceeded in the normal course that we typically see for cases in federal court. We filed this case back in August of 2009. The case was ready to be decided by the court in October of 2009, and then for a variety of reasons which we don't and cannot fully understand, the case remained in the court, languishing without a decision. We did just about everything we could do to try to get a decision from the court, and so we were gratified eventually to get finally a decision the other day, which struck down D.C.'s last in the nation remaining total ban on the carrying of handguns for self-defense. And so that's where we are. I mean, we're just gratified we finally got a decision, and more importantly, that the decision was correct.
Because, I mean, even if you'd gotten a decision going the other way, you were prepared to appeal. I mean, in fact, I would even guess that you were expecting to get a negative opinion, so you were already ready to start the appeal.
Sure. We want to be up on appeal in this case so we can get a final answer on this very important question for Americans, and especially for those who live and wish to visit in Washington, D.C. We would have been happy to file the notice of appeal, but we're happier to be the respondents and let the city take care of the filing fee and start the process going on any appeals.
You assume that's going to happen, that they are going to appeal?
I'd imagine that they would. I can't, the city is not thrilled with the Second Amendment here. They do whatever they can to frustrate people's exercise of Second Amendment rights, and so I'd guess that they would file an appeal. I haven't seen any yet, which is not entirely surprising. After all, it is the weekend. The decision came out on Saturday afternoon, which is very strange. But be that as it may, we're happily waiting for the city's next move.
Where would it go next for an appeal?
Well, the appeal will be filed to the U.S. Court of Appeals for the D.C. Circuit, the federal appellate court that has jurisdiction over Washington, D.C. And beyond that is the Supreme Court.
So what does it mean right now? I mean, can someone in D.C. legally carry a gun today because of this ruling?
Yes. Now, it's important for people to understand a couple of wrinkles. First of all, we did not challenge in this lawsuit, and the court did not strike down the requirement that if you're going to possess a handgun in Washington, D.C., it must be registered with the city. So that requirement remains. What this does, though, is it tells the city that if there are people in Washington, D.C., and there are, who legally have handguns registered with the city that has handguns that they are allowed to possess in Washington, then those gun owners can take those guns outside the home and carry them on the street for purposes of self-defense. Moreover, non-residents, people who live outside the city who may wish to exercise their Second Amendment rights, are able now, or should be allowed, to have their handguns registered in D.C., and of course, if those handguns are registered in D.C., then they can be walked around in D.C. There do, of course, remain other laws. You can't go into a school zone or a school.
Sure.
There are certain government buildings that have their own rules, but by and large, the total ban on carrying handguns in D.C. is gone. At least for now, it's gone.
Right. Now, if and when the city appeals, is it possible the judge will issue a stay, which means that the decision they just issued doesn't go into effect yet? Yes,
that is a possibility. The city is fully entitled to ask the district judge, that is the judge who ruled against them. They can ask him to stay his decision while they pursue an appeal. If the judge refuses to do that, then they are entitled to ask the Court of Appeals to enter a stay until they can hear their appeal. So if you want to carry, you better do it quickly. That's right. And also, and of course, we have no idea whether the city police department understands this ruling. Now, they're bound by it. There's no question of that. The judge did not stay his order, and the city is on notice, and they're not supposed to be enforcing this particular law. Now, whether you want to spend a night in D.C. jail arguing with them about it, that's up to you. Of course, there are consequences for the city when they violate a judge's order, but I suppose that we will have clarity on this topic very soon. I would imagine that they would probably seek a stay, and one or the other courts will either grant it or not, and then we will know. So I would probably wait a couple of days just to see how it shakes out. Although people who have been stopped in the last 24 hours or so for carrying a handgun have a pretty good defense.
Yeah, no kidding. Alan, can I get you just to hang with us for a couple of minutes more through the break?
Sure.
Because what I want to do is kind of explore, okay, that's fine for D.C., but what's it mean for the rest of us? And I think you can help us out on that, okay?
Sure, absolutely.
All right, we'll be right back talking with Alan Gura, the lead attorney in the Palmer case. Big case. And when we come back, we'll be saying, well, my question is, What's that mean to the rest of us? Don't go far.
In the field or on the range, you need a trigger you can trust. For over 60 years, Timney triggers have been trusted by hunters and shooters everywhere. A Timney trigger could mean the difference between a great shot and a miss. Timney triggers are proudly made in the USA and come with a lifetime warranty. To order, go to timneytriggers.com. That's TIMNEY triggers.com.
The Ruger LC380 is the perfect pairing of the award-winning LC9 pistol and the popular 380 auto cartridge. The LC380 is the same size as the LC9, yet offers reduced recoil, making it Ruger's lightest recoiling personal protection pistol yet. It features a dovetailed high-visibility 3-dot sight system, 7-round magazine and finger grip extension floor plate, manual safety, and loaded chamber indicator. The Ruger LC380. Another rugged, reliable firearm from Ruger.
The .45 Auto, also known as the 1911, is the standard other defensive pistols are measured against. No matter what pistol you carry, techniques developed around the 1911 are vital. You know you need training, and you know your concealed carry class definitely was not training. Now Gun Talk presents an exciting DVD, Fighting with the 1911 with Tiger McKee. Tiger's unique training style will have you drawing, moving, shooting, and running your gun better, no matter what style pistol you prefer. At ShopGunTalk.com, you can order our DVDs of Tiger's instruction. ShopGunTalk.com also has a 2-DVD set, including Concealed Carry 1. Get both for the information you know you need. This really is life and death. ShopGunTalk.com has DVDs, books, and other essential gear. ShopGunTalk.com. That's ShopGunTalk.com.
Introducing your new best friend in home defense, Guard Dog from Federal Premium Ammunition. With low recoil and reliable feeding, Guard Dog is all the protection you need. Guard Dog features a patented full metal jacket construction with an expanding polymer which minimizes overpenetration through interior walls. This dog's got bark and bite. Protect your home and family with Guard Dog Home Defense from Federal Premium Ammunition.
Coming up, the whole crew chimes in an on-topic, off-topic free-for-all. Be sure and stick around for the Gun Talk After Show.
We're talking with Alan Gura, lead attorney of the Palmer case, a lot of other cases there. Alan, I'm looking on your website, alangura.com, and you've got some interesting things here. One says you said there can be some limitations on regulation if the government wants to regulate, but totally banning a right literally spelled out in the Bill of Rights isn't going to fly. So the question for you is, for those of us who are not in D.C., what's in it for us?
Well, several things are in it for you. First of all, it's important to get the courts to recognize that this is actually a right that's in the Constitution. A lot of times, what we've seen in some courts is either an assumption that the right might exist, but because we're not going to examine it and look at it very seriously, it's also then easy to uphold all kinds of outrageous restrictions on that right. And, of course, in one case we saw in the Third Circuit, one that covers New Jersey and Pennsylvania, the court actually held that you don't have the right to carry a gun outside the home. That's not a part of the Second Amendment, which, of course, is a ridiculous opinion. But what we really want to see is an opinion that emphasizes once and for all at the Supreme Court level that this is, in fact, an aspect of the Second Amendment, that indeed it's a right that has a significant historical pedigree. It's meaningful. It's powerful. It's not one that can be lightly skipped over. And then once the courts have a proper understanding of just how important this right is, hopefully we'll see some of the more extreme regulations fall by the wayside. So it's probably better that we get to the Supreme Court with this issue sooner rather than later. And so any vehicle that lets us do that, and this is definitely a prime candidate, is a fantastic opportunity, and we should hope to see this case go further.
And there are states out there that don't allow any form of reciprocity. Could the Palmer decision change some of that?
Yes, it can, and this is the wonderful aspect of this. We included a reciprocity angle to this case. One of the plaintiffs in this case is a gentleman who does not live in Washington, D.C. Now, one of the rules for D.C. is that if you're a non-resident, they will not let you register a handgun. So he went and sought a registration form. He had actually been previously arrested for carrying a gun in D.C. And they refused because he wasn't a city resident. So this decision now tells the city that all Americans enjoy Second Amendment rights when they are visiting their nation's capital. And just because somebody doesn't live here doesn't mean that they can't be allowed to exercise this very important right. So we're hoping that that also is something that court sees on and take further.
Well, I know that the gun control folks didn't think you could do it, certainly could not do it in Illinois. Couldn't do it in Chicago, possibly. You did it there, and then they say, well, yeah, that's a one-time deal. You can't possibly do it in Washington, D.C. You've done it there. What maybe they're starting to realize is that the Second Amendment actually applies across the entire United States.
I would hope that they realize that, but, some people are fairly slow to reaching that understanding, and D.C. is especially slow in that regard. So they may have to have it explained to them in a few more court opinions, and that's what we're here for.
So, all right, this is a major win. I know you have other things going. What other cases do we have going that we should be paying attention to?
Well, there are a fantastic number of cases out there that we can be paying attention to. It's hard to summarize all of them. I'll just throw out a few of them that I think are important. We have a challenge in California pending, a case called Pena versus Lindley, another case that was filed about the same time as the Palmer case, which has taken some time to wind up through the court. And this is a challenge to California's so-called handgun rostering scheme. This is the law that states you can only have a handgun if it's on a special list that the state maintains, and the requirements for being on that list, of course, becomes more and more stringent until it becomes impossible to add any new handguns to that list. Requirements such as microstamping, for example, which does not exist. So we actually have been litigating that very aggressively. We were very pleased to have the support of industry in that, as the case has been very aggressively briefed in the last few months. And I would expect that we would probably have a decision in that case sooner rather than later. I mean, I don't want to get people excited, but I think that we're near the end of the district court process, and we have a judge in that case who's been moving the case along and has been very interested in the matter, asked a lot of good questions, sought all kinds of additional material from the parties, and so I think that case is one that could be interesting. I have another case here in D.C., the Dearth case, which has been running for a very long time, which deals with the restrictions on sporting purposes. Do you have a right to self-defense that the Second Amendment protects, or can the government restrict you to guns for sporting purposes? That's the main issue in that case.
That would be huge.
Yes, that we're dealing with that case. And, of course, I recently filed a case in Texas dealing with the interstate handgun sales ban. You may recall we lost that on standing grounds in Virginia. That was a wrong decision, but nonetheless one that left us with various options, and so we have continued to pursue that, and we hope to have some progress there.
Fabulous. Alan Gura, thank you so much. Thank you for what you do. I'm proud to be able to count you as a friend, but, man, you're impressive at what you're pulling off here, guy.
Thank you so much.
All right. You take care. Alan Gura. Big decision. When we come back, I'll talk about a little bit more about what this means to you and what you can do to help with the process.
Join the NRA via Tom Gresham's Gun Talk website and receive $10 off the regular membership price. Log on to guntalk.com for details. You're listening to Tom Gresham's Gun Talk. Just because we're wrapping up on the air doesn't mean we're done talking about guns. Stick around for the after show. It's our podcast-only version designed to include all the stuff we simply couldn't fit into a regular show. Call in now at 1-TOM-TALK-GUN. Now, back to Tom.
Well, the great thing about the after show is we get to just swear like sailors. If you've missed out on that, man, you can learn all kinds of things. We explore the vocabulary out there. It's, I'm thinking about this major case, actually a couple of cases, the one down in Florida where the court said it is constitutional for the state to tell doctors you cannot ask about somebody's guns that they own. That's not a part of medical practice. You have no business doing that. You're sticking your nose into other people's businesses. The doctors will say, well, but we have a First Amendment. Yeah, you do, but not when you have a business relationship, not when you have a doctor-patient relationship. You can't use your doctor-patient relationship to advocate for gun control and gun restrictions, and asking about gun ownership is exactly that. And I've had doctors say, well, but we're supposed to help you, be safe in your life. No, you're not. I don't know who told you that. I don't know what med school told you that. I don't know how you got this God complex. No. You're there for the bumps and the bruises and the aches and the pains and the infections. You're not there to tell us how to drive. You're not there to tell us how to take care of our swimming pool and keep security around it. You're not there to tell us how to live more safely. Not your job. None of your business. Get over it. And then in the Palmer case in D.C., huge win. Can't say enough for the Second Amendment Foundation and their, wow, what a string of successes they have had. For people who occasionally say, well, I'm in, Tom. You finally convinced me I want to be a part of the solution. What can I do? Well, it costs zillions of dollars to run these cases. You've got researchers. You've got multiple attorneys. You've got filing fees. You've got travel. It just goes on and on and on. It costs a lot of money. If you want to throw some in the pot, throw some in the kitty, go over to saf.org. You can help out. You can at least join. Their life membership is just relatively cheap compared to some other outfits. So if you want to help out, by all means, you could be part of that. We appreciate that. I try to help out whenever I can. And speaking of which, the Second Amendment Foundation and the Citizens Committee for the Right to Keep and Bear Arms, they put on an event once a year called the Gun Rights Policy Conference. Incredibly, it is completely free to attend. You'll be there for like 2.5 days. It is the end of September. If you go to saf.org, you can check out the Gun Rights Policy Conference. It's going to be held in Chicago this year. You can fly right into the Chicago airport into O'Hare. The hotel is right next to the airport. You will get a stack of books and literature that you won't believe, free stuff. Alan Gura will be there. I'll be there. Masada Yu will be there. All the movers and shakers in the gun rights movement will be there practically. Great place to learn, to get information. I guess I would just say this. I'm just trying to figure out, give some thought to all those guns you have. Give some thought to the heritage of gun rights in America, to your children, to your grandchildren. Can you help out? Would you help out? Maybe you just get more involved, informed, speak out on it. Or maybe you throw, $20 to help out. Whatever it is. I guess I just ask you to get out of the wagon, help us start pulling the wagon, okay? We need all the help we can get. Now, don't go anywhere. We're going to keep talking. If you haven't checked out the after show, by all means, download it. guntalk.com/listen. You can pull down the after show, because we're going to continue this and have a bunch of fun talking about how to shoot better and gun rights. In the meantime, have yourself a safe week and get involved.